Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been digging into some fascinating stuff lately, and this week is no exception. We're diving deep into something that might seem pretty basic at first glance, but it really has this huge ripple effect on every single aspect of our lives. We're talking about daily habits.
Right, habits.
Yeah. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack why these seemingly small routines we do day in and day out are actually so powerful. How do these tiny actions actually build up to create big, meaningful shifts in our lives? And most importantly, we're going to get super practical and pinpoint a few straightforward, easy to implement habits that you can literally start using today.
Absolutely. And when you look at all the research and the different perspectives we've gathered for this deep dive, what really jumps out is this consistent theme. It's not about those big, dramatic overnight transformations that we often get caught up in. The real magic, the real leverage, actually lies in the tiny, consistent choices we make every single day. So our aim today is to really understand the mechanics behind this. Why do these habits have such a strong hold on our lives? How do those small nudges compound into those significant results we're all looking for? And what are some practical starting points for our listeners to actually get started?
Exactly. And I think the exciting part here is that you don't need to completely reinvent yourself to see real, meaningful progress. It's about understanding and harnessing that subtle power of the everyday.
It's the little things.
It really is. Okay, so let's dive right in. Why are daily habits such a fundamental force in shaping our lives? I mean, why do they matter so much?
Well, think of it this way. Your life right now, in any area you can imagine, your health, your productivity, your mindset, your relationships, it's basically a snapshot of the habits you've cultivated over time. All those things you do on autopilot without even thinking about it. Like, we all know that someone who consistently makes time for exercise is more likely to be healthier.
Right. Makes sense.
Or that someone who makes it a habit to read regularly, even just for short periods, is going to steadily build their knowledge over time. It's pretty intuitive.
Yeah, those are the positive habits that we often strive for. But what about the other side of the coin? What about those habits that maybe aren't serving us so well? Those things we do almost unconsciously that might be holding us back without us even realizing it?
Absolutely, that's a crucial point. Habits aren't just these positive forces. Some of them can be pretty sneaky, actually working against us, like constantly scrolling through social media for hours or always putting off those important tasks for something more immediately gratifying. These might seem harmless in the moment, but they can have this surprisingly significant impact over time. They chip away at our focus, pull us away from our goals, and even affect our overall sense of well-being.
And it's kind of scary to realize how much of our lives are actually shaped by these unconscious routines. It reminds me of that famous quote by Aristotle. I think everyone's heard this one. He said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." And it really drives home the point that it's not those big one-off efforts that truly define us. It's the consistent day-to-day actions that actually shape who we become.
Yeah, it's so true. And, when you consider that quote in the context of everything we've been looking at for this deep dive, what's really interesting is this shift in perspective it suggests. Instead of constantly feeling this pressure to make these massive, dramatic changes, what if we just focus on recognizing the power of those small daily choices, understanding that these seemingly insignificant actions are actually the very foundation upon which our long-term outcomes are built. It's a pretty powerful way to look at it.
It is. So we've established the why habits matter so much. But let's dig into the how. How do these tiny little shifts actually create those significant results we're all aiming for? I mean, the idea of small changes compounding over time, it's pretty fascinating to me.
Oh, it's incredibly powerful. And one of the most effective ways to really grasp this concept is through what's often referred to as the 1% rule. Imagine for a moment just improving 1% in a particular area each day. 1%, it doesn't seem like a lot, does it?
Not at all.
But get this, over the course of a year, those tiny daily improvements actually compound to a 37-fold increase.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it. The math behind it really shows the exponential power of consistent small growth.
Wow, 37 times better. That's a pretty dramatic illustration. But let's break that down into some more tangible examples, something everyone listening can relate to.
For sure. Let's take something as simple as drinking an extra glass of water each day. On any given day, you're probably not going to feel a massive difference, but over time, and the research really backs this up, those better hydration levels can lead to more energy, improvements in your skin, and even support a ton of essential bodily functions over weeks and months. It's this tiny little daily tweak that can have a surprisingly big impact over time.
Another one that always resonates with me is reading. Committing to reading, let's say just 10 pages a day, might not seem like much at first. But stick with it, and by the end of the year, you've probably finished about 12 books. That's a lot of knowledge, a lot of new perspectives gained from what seemed like this small, insignificant daily commitment.
It's amazing, isn't it? And it's not just about physical or intellectual gains either. We've also seen how these small daily habits can have a profound impact on our mental well-being. Like taking just a few minutes each day, maybe while you're having your morning coffee, to jot down 3 things you're grateful for.
Yep.
Sounds so simple, right?
Yeah.
But that consistent practice, it can gradually shift your entire focus towards the positive. You start to notice more of the good things in your life, and over time, it can lead to a greater sense of contentment and resilience. It's like you're training your mind to focus on the good.
It's like planting these tiny seeds of positive action each day and then watching them grow into something really substantial over time. And this actually connects perfectly to a quote from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, that we kept coming across in our research for this episode. He says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." What do you think he means by that?
It's a really thought-provoking quote, isn't it? What Clear's getting at here is that while setting goals is important, having that vision, it's the daily systems, the processes we put in place, in other words, our habits, that ultimately determine whether we succeed or not. You can have the loftiest aspirations, the biggest goals, but without the underlying framework of those consistent daily actions, achieving those goals becomes so much harder. It's the reliability of your daily habits, those small things you do day in and day out, that creates the foundation for long-term sustainable progress.
So it's not just about wanting to be healthier, it's about establishing that system, that daily habit of going for a walk after dinner or hitting the gym for 15 minutes every morning. It's about taking that abstract desire and turning it into concrete action.
Exactly. And instead of just aiming to be more productive, it's about creating that habit of spending 10 minutes every evening to plan out your top priorities for the next day. You're shifting the focus from that big, abstract future outcome to the concrete, actionable steps you're taking each and every day. You're essentially building the infrastructure of habits that makes reaching your goals almost a natural consequence. So the big takeaway here is that these small, consistent actions are the real engine driving those significant long-term changes we're all striving for.
All right, this is all super useful stuff, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the practical part that everyone listening is waiting for. What are some simple, actionable habits that people can start incorporating into their lives literally today? Let's give them some concrete ideas they can actually run with.
Let's do it. Okay, let's start with a really simple morning habit that anyone can do. As soon as you wake up, before you do anything else, before you reach for your phone, before you even get out of bed, drink a glass of water. Seriously, just one glass of water. The research suggests that this simple act can do wonders for rehydrating your body after sleep, jumpstart your metabolism, and might even give you a little mental boost to start your day.
It's amazing how such a small thing can have such a big impact, right?
It really is.
Okay, what about a habit for boosting productivity during the day? Something to help people cut through all the distractions and really focus on what matters.
I like this one. Before you check your email or get sucked into the social media vortex, take just a few minutes, like 3 to 5 minutes max, to identify your top 3 most important tasks for the day, the things that will really move the needle. Write them down, make a little list. This helps clarify your priorities and ensures you're directing your energy towards what truly matters.
I love that. It's all about being intentional with your focus right from the start. Okay, how about a habit for cultivating a more positive mindset? I think we could all use a little more positivity in our lives, right?
Couldn't agree more. Here's one that's been really effective for a lot of people. Dedicate just 5 minutes each day to visualizing one of your personal goals. Really close your eyes and imagine yourself achieving it, actually experiencing the positive feelings associated with that success. It's like a mini mental rehearsal. And there's a lot of research showing how this kind of visualization can strengthen your motivation and keep your eye on the prize, so to speak.
I like that. It's like a little mental tune-up for success. And finally, since we all know how crucial sleep is for our physical and mental well-being, what's a simple habit we can adopt to actually improve the quality of our sleep?
This one's all about creating a digital sunset. At least 30 minutes before bed, disconnect. Put away your phone, your tablet, your computer, all those screens. That blue light that they emit can really mess with your body's natural sleep-wake cycle. So by creating this buffer, this screen-free zone, you're allowing your brain to wind down naturally and prepare for a more restful night's sleep.
These are all really practical, down-to-earth habits, and most importantly, they don't feel overwhelming. It's not about making these huge, drastic changes. It's about those small, consistent wins. Now, what's your advice on actually getting these habits to stick? Should people try to implement all of these at once?
Definitely not. Trying to overhaul your entire routine overnight is a recipe for burnout and frustration. The most effective approach, and we saw this again and again in the research, is to start small. Pick one habit, maybe two max, and really focus on making those a consistent part of your day. Once those feel more ingrained, more automatic, you can gradually add in others. It's all about making sustainable changes.
Right, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Slow and steady wins the race. How long should someone typically stick with a new habit before it starts to feel more natural, less like a conscious effort?
The exact time frame varies from person to person and from habit to habit, but there's a general rule of thumb, and this came up in a lot of the research we looked at, that suggests committing to a new habit for at least 21 days to establish some consistency. That gives your brain a chance to start forming those new neural pathways, making the habit feel more automatic over time.
So 21 days to make it stick. Okay, great advice. This has been a really insightful deep dive into the world of daily habits. Let's do a quick recap for everyone.
Absolutely. What we've really uncovered here is that our daily habits are the foundation of our long-term success and well-being. They're those consistent, often overlooked actions that over time accumulate to create profound changes in who we become and what we achieve.
And we've really emphasized how powerful those small, consistent improvements can be. We've seen how they compound, how they snowball into significant outcomes across every area of our lives.
It's all about changing our perspective, shifting our focus from those infrequent big efforts to the steady, reliable power of positive daily routines. Small changes, big results. That's the key takeaway here.
So here's our call to action for everyone listening. Pick one habit, just one, from the ones we've discussed today. It could be that morning glass of water, planning your top 3 tasks for the day, doing a 5-minute visualization, or creating that digital sunset before bed. Whatever resonates with you, pick one and commit to doing it starting today.
And we'd love to hear about your experience. Send us a DM on Instagram, leave a comment on our latest post. Let us know what's working for you, what challenges you're facing, how these insights are playing out in your life. We're always eager to hear from you.
And if you found this depth dive valuable, do us a favor and share it with someone you think could benefit from understanding the power of daily habits. Follow us, rate us, help us spread the word.
Remember, building a fulfilling and successful life is an ongoing journey. It's about continuous learning, growth, and the consistent cultivation of those small but incredibly powerful daily habits. One step at a time, one day at a time.
That's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.